Rightio. So hopefully this is streaming. We're using the Airbus A320 as usual, flying down towards a point called Rennes, which is supposed to be at 7,000 feet. We're coming into French Micronesia. The airport name is Pohnpei, I think it is. I'll just quickly check what it's called. Yeah, Pohnpei is an island which is part of one of the 4 federated states of Micronesia. Right, we've got our arrival information set up. The speed's now reducing down to 250 knots, a bit of speed brake to help us. There's the island on the left. Now, I have a feeling I should have engaged the Google Maps for this, as I am going to imagine that, yeah, all of the atolls are just lighter shaded bits of water, rather than actually putting them in properly. We just got kind of coral, so hopefully this will still look quite nice, but I'm not going to be too hopeful. So we need to descend down to 2,300 by Naira, so I'm going to program that in now. It's probably going to be roughly a 2-3 degree glide path, I imagine. We've got another 10 miles to there, and then another 5 miles around the radius. So full speed brake. And the wind on landing is going to be 0 degrees at 10 knots, so quite okay for us to deal with. Let's put the seatbelt signs and landing lights on. Go through some cumulonimbus clouds. So we've got a broken at 17 thunderclouds, TCU. That's what these are. That's why they look quite sinister. So we need to just basically keep this descent going and hope that we end up at the right place at the right time. So I'd imagine at Naira that is our final approach fix, and that's when we need to do the 3 degree descent. So if we can just keep the 3 degree descent going the entire way down, then that would be perfect, ideal really. However, I'm doubtful as to whether that's just going to happen or not. Yeah, look, we've got all different colours of water now. Flying as Jetstar, which is an Australian low-cost airline. I don't know how we managed to get all the way out here, but I do like the delivery's quite cool actually. The silver and orange. Just kind of like EasyJet. So 6,000 feet now. So we've got another 4 plus 8. That's going to be 12 more miles to descend. So that's great. We're going to be roughly right on the money. But we do need to probably activate the approach phase already. There we go, approach phase is now active. So the whole thing about the Micronesian state is that there's supposed to be little islands and atolls all around the entire thing. So I'm hoping those are actually in the game, otherwise it will be a little bit sad. Otherwise we might be ending up using that as Google. I want to come back here with Google and see if that fixes everything. But I can see that there's some atolls over here, poking through the clouds. Okay, we're now starting the left turn to final. Still can't really see the runway. QNH is 2972. Let's put that in there. We can see some land over there though, that's for sure. And I think this is basically just meant to be reefs and so on. So 4,300, we're not descending below 2,300 until we're at Naira. Speed wise, still need to reduce, so keeping that speed brake out. And you can see there's a few crests on the waves, so quite a windy wave scenario. So there's the runway over there. There's a little jutted out piece of island. But essentially this is all meant to be little islands here basically, and they're not there, which is a shame, but that's life I suppose, when you've got Microsoft in charge of everything. Okay, so 3,400 we've got some more miles, 6 more miles to go along the arc, so plenty of space for descending. I'm going to reduce the speed now so we can basically just use the descent rate to slow us down. 072 is the altimeter setting. So I'm going to use that one. Still coming around, so we're now looking good. I'm going to put flaps 1 in. Start configuring for landing. We're going to have about a 10-mile final, which is perfectly adequate. As you can see, some thunderstorm clouds here. Wind is 070 degrees at 21 knots. It should be reducing down to 10.
2,500.
So now we don't want to go any lower than that. Okay, maybe going to use 2972. Let's just check that sim. .meta. What even is this place? PTPN. Probably doesn't even have a meta. No such weather profile, that's fine, so we're just going to use Microsoft Weather then. Descend down to 1900. I'm going to assume it's 3 degrees. We're going to do that when it gets to 0.9. So 1900 on a 3 degrees right from Naira. And then if we're at 1900 at visor, then we just continue the descent down. So speed brakes are armed now, flaps 2, 3. Let's do flaps full, so now I have approach, we want to be as accurate as possible. There's 1900. Just going to capture the altitude there very briefly. I'm going to engage a 3 degree glide path now. Okay. We can see the runway, that's looking alright for the approach. Now, I can't say much about the Google Maps image for this. As you can see, it's extremely green. So green that the water's turned green. And obviously half of the island is also missing. So I feel like this would be a place where Google Maps would be ideal in the future. I'll use that in the future actually, because you can see there's big patches missing. And we don't have any of the atolls. So I'm going to actually probably switch that on and try this again, but just with a propeller plane or something like that. You can see some of the islands around there, but you can see very low resolution. And that entire mountaintop area is basically just auto-gen. Okay, 1200 and we've got 5 miles to go. 4 miles, that's probably perfect actually. The airport is only at 0 feet, I'd hope, because it's right on the runway, right on this. Can you imagine that? Looks like you're just flying in over the sea. Slight crosswind. Well, in terms of alignment, that's spot on, so let's disengage the autopilot. And yeah, the scenery does look very surreal. I'm not exactly going to say that that is accurate. It's extremely green and blurry. The ground is not that blurry in real life. So there we are, perfectly on the glide path. We've got 133 knots of ground speed, so times that by 5 we get 680. So about 700 feet. Descent rate would be correct, but right now I'm just aiming at the blocks. We've got 500 feet. Minimum's 250. So there's the blocks coming up.
400.
So adjustments to the left and right. Down.
100 above.
Up.
300. Minimum.
A bit more to the left.
200.
There.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. 5.
Touchdown. Using low auto brake because I want to roll out to the end of the runway. Got decel. Free reverse green. Disengage reverse thrust. Let the ground ski come down to 30. Actually, I'm going to disengage the brakes now. Manual braking. It's a bit too tropical, paradisey. Clouds are all really cool. But the scenery definitely looks like it could use a bit of Google's help. Or even just the updated version of Bing Maps, that would probably be perfect for this. You can hear the wind outside. Not really. And now backtrack. Yeah, backtrack. And then there should be 2 little tiny stands somewhere. But yeah, you can see this is definitely not Bing Maps. This is just auto-generated. You can tell by the blockiness it looks actually kind of awful. So that would have definitely been a flight to have flown with other satellite imagery. I'm going to check if... Actually, I'm going to check all 3. So, because once you load up this cool new thing about Derek's Google Map replacement is once you load it, you can switch between different sources. So you could pretty much take a propeller plane, fly around, and go, actually, Bing Maps works medium good, Google Maps looks okay, or maybe ArcGIS is working the best. So you can basically decide which map you want to fly in each region, which is quite a cool advantage actually. Certainly does make it arguable that you should just use it all the time instead of using the default. Because default basically is either great in places like Europe and America, or like this, absolutely missing. I'm going to taxi to the stand. There's 2 stands available, one on the right, one on the left. Exactly. Then we're going to go for the one on the right. Oh, let's go for the left. I feel like left today. Now it's a power car, so there should be external power available. Parking brake, and have a feeling, yep, none of that's available. Okay. Let's quick look at the landing rate, 189 feet per minute, so even though it felt alright, apparently quite a hard landing. That's annoying, but oh well. Felt quite smooth.